All right, Leslie, we're going to take a look at your 5 characteristics of light posting, give you some feedback here. Share. All right, so first thing we do is just kind of go through the posting overall, see how things look as far as the organization of things. Looks like we like verticals. Verticals are fine as long as you're going to continue with verticals throughout the entire scenario. It looks like the change of format, though, looks like at some point you went to a stretched out 16:9 format. We'll look at that to make sure that's a deliberate choice. This is a really, really difficult one to work with on the vertical. I would not have recommended you do that, but we can look at ways to sort of pull it off of that setting, because this is just a very, very challenging format to work with, even for someone who is very seasoned with composition, to work with something so stretched out like that in the vertical that way. And we got hardness, and then looks like we're missing contrast. Red hardness and temperature. Here's contrast. Contrast, just a bit out of order here. Intensity and direction. Okay, yeah, we just had them a bit out of sequence. So taking a look at the compositions to start off with, just kind of the arrangement of the elements on the page. So you have the square, you have stuff inside the square. How is that all arranged? How is that activating the space? In a photograph, where it's all reductive, so you just kind of, as you move in, as you sort of choose what's in the frame and what's not in the frame, that's how you're composed. With a drawing, you're adding marks and you're adding smudges or you're adding paint. But with a photograph, you're having to reduce, you're having to get rid of stuff or make sure it's not in focus or make sure that it's dark in the background or something like that. So that's really some of the compositional strategies that we end up using. To start off here, it's pretty typical, where we're just sort of looks like we're identifying bottles. Now this is direction. So we should have the camera set up in one spot, and then we have the light moving around the different positions, and those positions are marked. There's 2, and then there's 3, and then there's 4, and then there's 5, and then there's 6, 7, and then 8. So those are all set. So what we should see is the light kind of turning around the image as we move forward. So here we go from here, and then we're kind of jumped over to this back corner. It looks like we're somewhere up in somewhere right in here on the image. Now we're directly behind. Now we're over here, and for some reason, so I'm not sure, we must have your zoom way out. We can see the ceiling back here and the curtains. I mean, you could see that probably in your photograph. We definitely want to avoid doing that. Not to mention, we've moved. So your camera is moving during this scenario, which is not the setup that we want. So the basic setup is you're going to have the camera. Let's say the camera is here. I'm going to pull back out. So let's say I am the table here, right? This is the table, and the camera is here. So your objects overhead, let's say this is the overhead. Your objects are here and here and here, and the first position is going to be where the light is right here, next to the camera, and it's shining directly on the surface of something. That's position 1. Then 2 is over here on this corner, aiming in this direction. 3 is here, aiming this direction. Notice the camera has not moved. Now, with each time I move this light from here to here now, I'm moving the objects around. Okay. Now I move it up here. Now I'm still moving objects around. Camera has never moved. It's on a tripod. It's staying there. It doesn't move. So it's pointed at a direction and it's not moving. Then it goes up here, still moving stuff around, taking pictures. Camera hasn't moved. Here, 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 and you get it. That's the idea. The camera's not moving. And so it looks like you kind of maybe misunderstood the what we were doing there, because you got the camera moving around the table. And so we don't want that. That's not, it defeats the, when we move the camera and the light, we're not really dealing with a variety of positions, where when you move the camera, the light moves as well. You're moving the relationship, because the camera position and the light, that's the relationship. So the number of the light, so if the light is in position number 3, that position number 3 is a relationship to the camera, not just randomly number 3 where, you know, all the time. 3 is a relationship. How far away is the camera, is the light from the camera? So that we'll definitely want to revisit that one, so you can get that experiment right. And I really want to insist on that, because this the direction is so important. Direction is of the 5 characteristics, and the 5 characteristics of light are the most important lesson you'll get out of the entire course. Of that, direction is the most important component of it. Understanding direction, understanding the power and the use of the direction of light is the most important part of the 5 characteristics of light. So if we miss the most important part of the most important project, well, we don't want you to do that. So let's move into intensity and see if things improved. Again, the camera shouldn't be moving on intensity, just the lights and the objects. And again, it looks like we're moving the camera about. So we don't want to be doing that either. You are using, looks like, 1 light here. I'm not seeing 2 lights on this one. I'm not sure, maybe you were misidentifying some of the photographs when you were looking at them. You've got some interesting images here. Let's not, don't get me wrong. I mean, some of your photographs look really kind of interesting, but when we're talking about, you know, presenting your understanding of the principles, which is the objective of the project, it's not just to make really awesome photographs. It's so that you can present, this is my understanding of the 5 characteristics of light, because we're trying to learn a thing here. That's what we're doing. So we'll definitely want to kind of reset here and kind of get you back to where you were. And it probably has something to do with the amount of class you had missed before or whatever, but we'll get you back on the right page here if you're willing to take some time with me here. Okay, so let's kind of jump up to looks like you jumped to contrast, but I'm going to skip that one and move down to temperature. Now, here's where we went to a different format on the camera. That's just some setting that we're going to go into and help you recorrect. Once again, we're way zoomed out on your camera, so we're seeing the ceiling. We definitely don't want to be seeing the ceiling. Imagine if this was a drawing and we were, you know, drawing. Would you include the rafters in the ceiling, or would, you know, unless it was really important to the project, would you include the light that was shining on the still life as you were drawing it? Probably not. So these are the things you want to consider when you're making photographs, only you have to get rid of them actively, not choose whether to add them or not. So these are some of the things to think about. Now, with the temperature, what you're doing is modifying the temperature of the lights, and then also modifying the temperature of the color balance of your camera. So I'm seeing the one, but not really seeing the combination of the 2. So again, we'll get into that and go over it with you. So it looks like what happened is we just we need to kind of maybe kind of reset a little bit here for you, so that we can get a better idea of what the project is really about. Because here we're looking at hardness, but these images don't look diffused at all. You're not using a diffuser over them. And I really don't want you to misunderstand any of this stuff. I appreciate that you put these up there, but let's go ahead and maybe set a time where we can work. And I'll kind of go through the different scenarios for you again. And hopefully we'll get you on the right track. This is not a deal breaker for you as far as the class and stuff. We can get you definitely on the right page here to get you set forward. But I do want you to understand the impact of being with everybody, because you wouldn't have had these kinds of maybe issues if you would have seen everybody else working that way. Hopefully we'll be able to see you a lot more in the class sessions, so that you'll be able to ask questions as things are coming up. You'll be able to see the others and the peers working. You see what they're making as they're doing it as well. That's the whole interaction that we want to get you. So let's chat at some point, and we'll get you on the right page, and we'll get your project resubmitted so we can move forward with the right information. So, all right. We'll see you in the studio. Bye now.